And joining us now, Brookings Institution Senior Fellow in Governance Studies, Elaine Kmark. Elaine, good to have you back. Donald Trump was touting all of the cuts that he's made with Elon Musk last night. He was touting the tariffs. He was touting all of the, what he describes as his accomplishments so far in the past 6 weeks. How have you seen them? What stood out to you?
Look, I did this in the Clinton administration. OK, I was a government employee who had to put in a financial statement. I had to take security class tests, et cetera, and get a security clearance. None of this has Musk had to do. The big difference, though, is between what we did 32 years ago in the Clinton administration and now is that they are doing many things which nobody thinks are legal. So just yesterday, there was another federal court decision that said, and it was funny the way he phrased it, the judge said, under no law in American history, nor any law in the universe, does OPM have the authority to hire and fire people outside of their agency. So this whole thing is on very tenuous legal grounds and has been from the beginning.
Musk's involvement on this, I wonder if it's going to go down as if the American public is going to find it distasteful eventually. I mean, he's the guy, richest guy in the world, and he's going and he's bragging about firing people, cutting out government programs. He called Social Security a Ponzi scheme the other day. Does that end up backfiring? I know the American public has been able to stomach a lot or just hasn't seen the way Donald Trump speaks about things the same way that past presidents have seen it, the way that we've, the decorum that we usually abide by. I wonder if it's ever going to catch up to them.
Oh, it's going to catch up with them. In fact, what Trump and Musk are doing, even though I'm not sure they realize it, is they're planting time bombs all through the federal government. And the time bombs are going to blow up on them as soon as something goes wrong. They cut people from NOAA last week. That's the National Oceanic and Aerospace Administration. So the next time there's a hurricane and there's not a lot of notice, guess what? People are going to say, hey, the people who are supposed to give us plenty of notice, they seem to be asleep at the switch. And they're fooling around with Social Security. And that, of course, is the third rail of American politics. You just don't do it. The minute people start getting their checks late or get inaccurate checks, or the minute people who are turning 67 years old and want to sign up for Social Security go to do it and they can't do it because there's not enough people to sign them up, this is going to backfire. And it's careless, it's chaotic, it's not the way to cut the government. And I'm a person who is in big favor of rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse and cutting workers, et cetera. But you've got to do it in a way that doesn't impact operations. And so far, they've shown no sensitivity to what the government actually does that the vast majority of American people want the government to do.
Yeah, the government has grown dramatically over the years. Do you have a positive reading for anything that they're doing right now?
Well, first of all, the government hasn't grown dramatically over the years.
Oh, it hasn't? Please correct me.
No, it hasn't.
In all of these fights against what appear to be these illegal mass firings and these efforts to unilaterally close down and turn off parts of the government, the materially most consequential one of all of them is one that was obtained because of one man whose name is Hampton Dellinger. Trump tried to fire him in the first week in February. Mr. Dellinger fought it immediately. He fought it long enough and hard enough that while he was able to retain his post, thanks to a judge's order, still under fire from Trump, he succeeded in enlisting the Merit Systems Protection Board to reverse thousands of baseless firings of so-called probationary employees. Among the direct results of what Hampton Dellinger did are more than 5,000 people at USDA who yesterday were told they must be reinstated to their jobs. Hampton Dellinger today himself announced that he is ending his one-man fight to stay at his post at the Office of Special Counsel, which looks after whistleblower rights, which looks after the rights of government employees to not be fired for corrupt or improper reasons. He left that job today after an appeals court ruling basically made clear that he must. But take him as a case study here, because his one-man, one-month fight to not go quietly saved the jobs of thousands of people who were improperly fired by Trump. And that fight set the bar and set the tone for what it means to refuse to go quietly and to make as much good trouble as you can every single day that you can for as long as you can. Joining us now for his first interview since ending this fight is Hampton Dellinger. He's now the former head of the Office of Special Counsel. Mr. Dellinger, it's really nice to meet you. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I'm sorry that this was your last day.
Yeah, I'd rather be at work.
Yeah. Well, tell me about your job. Tell me what your job was.
Well, for almost a year, I was the place that if you're a federal government whistleblower and you see wrongdoing happening on your job in the government, you could come to my office and report it. I could initiate an investigation. And if you happen to be retaliated against for blowing the whistle, I could help protect you.
That job, for obvious reasons, when you think about checks and balances, is an independent job. One in which Congress created the job, yes?
50 years ago.
Congress created the job and created it in such a way that the president couldn't come in and say, I don't like what this guy is doing protecting these whistleblowers, get him out, I want my own guy in there. Specifically the design of the job, right?
That's right. And for 50 years, presidents had respected that design, had respected that there would be a limited but important role for my office and that we would have a measure of protection. So we wouldn't worry about losing our jobs when we stood up for other federal employees who are unlawfully losing their jobs.
When the president, February 7th, told you that you were fired, had you been expecting it? Did you already have a plan in place for what you would do in that moment?
Yes and no. I had seen inspectors general, really capable, hardworking IGs be ousted. I knew that there was a general view that they didn't want independent watchdogs in the executive branch, but I also knew the history of my office and that it had been around for 50 years and courts had respected that independence for 50 years. So when I got the email saying, you're fired, thank you for your service, I didn't feel like they meant it. I also didn't feel like it merited a response. So I went back and forth. And, you know, I'm someone who believes in the presidency. I want to see every American president succeed. But I also knew that my firing violated a law that had been on the books. And I just couldn't walk away in the face of that.
You fought for a solid month since that happened. One trip, your case took one trip to the Supreme Court already, back down to lower courts. You got an adverse appeals court ruling yesterday, which led to your decision to effectively stop your fight. Did you feel like you had no choice in terms of stopping it, that there might be additional harm done to the things that you care about and that you were trying to protect if you stuck with it and kept fighting?
Certainly that was an aspect of it. I had a 3-judge panel that was somewhat conservative, and that mirrors the Supreme Court. So I knew that it could be an uphill fight, even though I disagree with the court's ruling, and I would disagree with the Supreme Court if they found my position unconstitutional. But the other issue, Rachel, is it was going to be months, maybe a year before I'd get a final answer. I'd be on the sidelines the whole time. And I've seen the damage over the past month or so that can happen in days, sometimes even hours, to these federal agencies when the laws aren't being followed. And so the idea of trying to come back in a year and fix what I think might be broken forever in terms of the independence of my agency was not something that I thought I could do.
You talk about not wanting to be on the sidelines for the duration of that kind of a fight, waiting for something to get up to and through the United States Supreme Court. What does not being on the sidelines mean? What do you plan to do now? Today's day one out of government service.
Yeah, rest maybe, but I tell you, I can't let go of yesterday. I started out in the morning and helped get 6,000 unlawfully fired federal employees their jobs back. Yeah. And at the end of the day, I'd lost my job. And so it was my best day at work and my worst day at work on the same day. So I'm going to hold on to that for a little bit.
Well, don't hold on to it for too long. I mean, you have seen things. The skills that got you this job in the first place and that allowed you to perform those duties for the past year, but also what you have seen about what it means to fight. It's part of the reason I wanted to talk to you tonight, because you embody an example here of what it is to stand up and put your name as the plaintiff on that suit against the government, to stand up for the way the American people ought to be treated. We very rarely ask individual human beings to say, I, the named plaintiff, am here to stand up for the people against the government that is mistreating them. And it takes something. It takes resources. You had help in filing the suit?
I did. I had brilliant lawyers who assisted me. I got a lot of support from whistleblower advocacy groups, from military veterans groups, because a lot of my job was focused on the VA, which is why, by the way, I think it makes no sense for the president to put in the secretary of the VA. I honor his military service, but he's got a big job on his own to do. And the idea that he could be in my job investigating himself is just the essence of a conflict of interest.
They dual-hatted the VA secretary and your job.
That is the plan as of a couple of weeks ago. But to your broader point, I'm just one person, and I was inspired by others. I saw the acting U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York stand up and for the rule of law and not sign off on something she didn't think was right.
Danielle Sassoon, that's
yes.
Right.
I saw the inspectors general, who I'd worked with hand in hand for a year, being ousted, and I knew their integrity and their talents. And I feel like the easiest thing for me to do was just to follow the law. That's what I'd done every day in my job, and I knew my firing violated the law. So I just held true to that. I listened as I was thinking about whether to file the suit or not.
So, guys, what you're seeing here is Trump continuing to take big losses in court because of both his own big fat mouth, like screaming about and yelling about, but also the work of individual Americans. When one person does something, they can set up the context, the environment for a big Trump loss. And one of the reasons his programs have been failing in court has been because of individual bravery. The lawyers taking him on in court, the judges not bending the knee, but also the individual plaintiffs who bring the cases needed to stop him. Because as you know, in court, when somebody's doing something illegal or that violates some sort of provision, that's not enough necessarily. You often also have to bring forward like a person damaged by it. Trump violates some rule, the judge asks, who has standing here? Who has standing? Like, who is the person aggrieved to actually bring the case? And brave people stepped forward. But it's also Dumb Donnie's big dumb mouth. Because with Elon, a lot of people have been like, we want to take a look at Elon. We want to bring him into these cases, into these reports. But Trump, up until this point, with Elon, it's like Elon is running Doge, but he's not legally running Doge. That was the argument. He's just a guy who hangs around a lot, but he doesn't actually formally run anything, including the department that he created. He's not formally in charge. But when Trump said he was in charge in his State of the Union speech, that set up a big defeat in court. And guys, it's only going to get worse.